Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So, it's time to talk about Solo Leveling Arise as the game gears up for its half-year anniversary. And you know what that means to add free pulls. Yep, you heard me right. The game is about to drop a ton of free rewards, and trust me, you don't want to miss out. But with so many characters from the Solo Leveling universe available, it's easy to get lost in all the choices. The good news is, almost all of them can be pulled from the standard banner using custom draw tickets, but here's the kicker, not every character is going to be a game changer for you. Now, if you're looking to get the most out of your pulls, you need to focus on the characters that are currently top tier in the meta. Trust me, it's all about making those smart decisions and saving your resources for the absolute best picks. Not every character will give you the edge you need in the game, so keep an eye on those who truly shine in terms of effectiveness. Stick around as we dive into which characters should be on your radar and how you can maximize your chances for success in this epic game. I'm quickly moving on to the video, and I'm ranking characters in Solo Leveling Arise. Before we start, if you enjoy these types of tier list videos, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Enjoy watching.
My friends, only 0.1% of viewers subscribe. If you like this type of content, please do not forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you in advance for your support.
The characters in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Han Song-yi, Jo Kyu-hwan, Kim Sang-sik, and Park Byum-sik. Let's talk about the underwhelming crew in Solo Leveling Arise, shall we? You know, those characters that somehow manage to fall short even when you're hoping for some serious power-ups. We're talking about the D tier characters. Unfortunately, these heroes could use a little more oomph. Let's dive into why these guys are more of a liability than an asset in the game. First up, we have Han Song-yi. Oh boy, where do we start with her? If you're looking for a solid water damage dealer, Han Song-yi might make you want to rethink your entire approach. She's considered the worst water damage dealer in the game, and that's saying something in a game filled with so many powerful characters. Her ability to dish out damage is just, well, underwhelming, to put it kindly. If you were hoping for some epic water-based destruction, you might be better off looking elsewhere. Next, we've got Jo Kyu-hwan. This guy could have been something special, but unfortunately, he lacks the utility you'd expect from a good character. He doesn't have airborne or knockdown abilities, which makes him feel a little bit too passive when you need him to take control of the battlefield, and to make matters worse, his overall damage output is pretty mediocre. If you're trying to go all in on a powerful team, he might not be the best pick to help you carry the weight. Then there's Kim Sang-sik, the so-called hunter. The problem with him is that his break ability is weak across all of his skills. When you're relying on a hunter to hit hard and break through enemies, having weak break skills isn't exactly ideal. His damage multipliers are nothing to write home about either, which is disappointing because you'd expect a hunter to at least do some serious damage. Unfortunately, Kim Sang-sik just doesn't live up to the hype. Finally, we have Park Byum-sik. Now Park has a little trick up his sleeve. He can spam core skills when his HP is low, but here's the catch. It's only a one-time activation. If you're expecting him to be a powerhouse, you'll quickly realize that he lacks consistent power. His skills have low multipliers, and when you're trying to make an impact on the battlefield, that's just not cutting it. Park Byum-sik might give you a brief moment of glory, but ultimately, he falls short in the long run. So yeah, while these D-tier characters might have some cool abilities or backstories, they're definitely not the stars of your squad. If you're trying to build the ultimate team, you might want to look beyond these guys and pick up some of the stronger, more reliable heroes in the game. The characters in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Ana Ruiz, Hwang Dong-seok, Lee Joo-hee, Nam Chae-young, Song Chi-ul, and Yoo Jin-ho. Alright, buckle up because we're diving into the world of solo leveling. Arise and taking a look at some of the characters who fall into the C tier. These characters aren't necessarily bad, but they are a bit underwhelming compared to others in their roles. Whether you're here for some light-hearted commentary or you're trying to figure out if you should even bother with these characters, this is the spot. Let's jump in. First up, we have Ana Ruiz. Now, she's got some decent damage output thanks to her skills, but here's the catch. Her break damage isn't exactly something to write home about. She might do okay, but if you're looking for someone who really shines without a heavy investment, Ana's probably not your best bet. The more you level her up, the more she can bring to the table, but if you're just starting out, she's going to feel a bit meh. Next on the list is Hwang Dong-seok. This guy is a tank, and while he can self-buff and dish out some decent break damage, there are just better options for both team utility and overall damage. He's not terrible, but if you're in a team building crunch and looking for someone who brings more to the table, Huang's probably going to be your last pick. He's like that one friend who insists on joining the group project but doesn't contribute much, yet somehow doesn't totally ruin everything. Then we have Lee Juhee. Lee Juhee, a free character, which is great. She's a decent healer and can buff your team, but she's kind of outclassed by other characters who do the same job, only way better. You know the type, the free sample at the store that seems nice at first, but then you realize you'd rather just get the premium version with all the bells and whistles. Now, let's talk about Nam Chae Young. This character deals decent ranged water damage and can freeze enemies. Sounds useful, right? Well, here's the kicker. She needs a lot of upgrades to really make her impactful. Her ability to freeze enemies is a nice touch, as it gives your stronger allies a chance to unload without the enemies retaliating too quickly. But in the early game, if you don't have the resources to level her up, she's just another face in the crowd. If you're hunting for a character to mow down mobs, Song Cheol might catch your eye. The problem is, she's a total boss killer, but not in a good way. When it comes to bosses in the later stages, she really struggles. It's like bringing a butter knife to a sword fight. Sure, she'll take down the smaller stuff just fine, but when it's time for the big leagues, you're probably going to want to look elsewhere. And now we're getting to Yu Jinho. Good old Yu Jinho. He's one of those characters that's easy to use and not overly complicated. He can break and stun enemies, and while he doesn't specialize in anything, he's a solid all-rounder. If you're looking for a decent free character who can get the job done in a pinch, Yu Jinho is your guy. He's like that reliable backup friend who's not the star of the group, but when things get tough, you know you can count on them. So there you have it. A quick rundown of some of the C-tier characters in solo leveling. Arise. These characters aren't terrible, but if you're looking to maximize your gameplay, you might want to keep them in your back pocket and focus on other options. Do they have their moments? Sure. Are they top tier? Not so much. Just remember, sometimes it's the underdogs that surprise you, but most of the time you'll want to go with someone a bit more reliable. The characters in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Baek Yoonho, Hwang Dong-soo, Kang Tae-shik, Kim Chul, Lim Tae-gyu, Park Hee-jin, and Woo Jin-chul. Alright, let's talk about some of the characters in solo leveling, Arise that are just a little bit, well, not quite top tier, but still worth a spot on your team. These characters aren't exactly breaking any damage records, but they're solid and might just surprise you. Let's dive into the B tier and see who might end up being the unsung heroes in your lineup. First up, we've got Baek Yoonho. Now, don't let the fact that he's in the B tier fool you. He's all about breaking enemies' defenses, which is a huge plus. If you're looking for someone who can keep enemies vulnerable while your main damage dealer goes to work, Baek Yoonho is your guy. He also brings a nice tanking element to the table, so he's a double threat, solid defense and decent damage output. Not bad, right? Moving on to Hwang Dong-soo, this guy is a bit of a wildcard. He's a decent wind damage dealer, so he'll help you when you need to dish out a bit of elemental power. But the real charm of Hwang Dong-soo is his ability to tank. He can throw up some self-shields, which gives him a bit of durability in the middle of the chaos. Plus, he can remove shields from enemies, which is an underrated ability that makes him a decent pick if you're dealing with shielded foes. Think of him as a shield buster with a side of damage. Next up, we've got Kang Tae-shik, and honestly, he's here to bleed your enemies dry, literally. His ability to apply bleed status to enemies is no joke. It's a great way to rack up high damage over time, making him a solid DPS character. What's even more impressive is that he's an SR super rare character. Don't be fooled by that rank, he can hang with some of the best SSR super rare characters, especially if you level him up properly. He might not top the charts, but he's definitely a sleeper hit. Kim Chul is up next, and oh boy, this guy is a tank through and through. He's got a self-shield that he can slap on both himself and the entire team, making him a super supportive character. But wait, there's more. He's also got a stun ability that can lock enemies down for a few seconds. Imagine being able to prevent a boss from doing anything for a little while. That's what Kim Chul brings to the table. He's the tanky friend who can dish out support while keeping enemies under control. Now, let's talk about Lim Tae-gyu. And if you're into breaking things, you'll like him. He might not be the best for raw damage, but his break damage, top tier. His ultimate skill is particularly fantastic when you're dealing with bosses. It's one of the hardest hitting attacks in the game, and while that doesn't always mean he's the best for regular encounters, it certainly makes him a must-have for those tough endgame bosses. So, if you like to break your enemies and drop the big hits, Lim Tae-gyu is definitely worth considering. Next, we have Park Hee-jin, who is a pretty decent support character. She's great if you want to boost your team's ultimate damage, which can make all the difference in those high stakes moments. Oh, and she can remove debuffs too, super handy if you've got a few status effects weighing down your team. She's not the star of the show, but she's a solid supporting character that can make things run smoother, especially in those tough fights. Let's not forget Wu Jinchul, the freebie who brings some mobility to the game. He's great at dodging enemy attacks, so if you'd like to play it safe and avoid taking hits, Wu Jinchul has you covered. The catch here is that his damage isn't all that impressive, so he's not going to carry your team through hard content. But hey, if you want a safe pick who won't get blown up in the middle of a fight, he might just be the guy for you. So there you have it. Some B tier characters who might not be the absolute best, but can still hold their own in the right situations. They're not going to break any records, but with the right strategy, they can be useful members of your team. Whether you're breaking defenses, dealing with shields, or just needing some solid support, these characters have something to offer. Give them a try and see how they fit into your strategy. The characters in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Choi Jong-in, Emma Laurent, Lee Bora, Shimizu Akari, and Silver Main Baek Yoonho. Alright, let's dive into the B tier characters of solo leveling Arise. These guys might not be at the top of the food chain, but they're still a force to be reckoned with, especially when you've got the right setup. They don't just roll over and play dead, they can actually pack a punch if you're willing to put in a little effort. Let's start with Choi Jong-in. This guy's all about fire damage, and when I say fire, I mean he's literally a walking oven. His ranged fire attacks are insane, and if you like playing with DOTs, damage over time, he's your man. Plus, he's got some of the best debuffs in the game, making your enemies feel like they just took a bad hit in a fight they didn't sign up for. Next up is Emma Laurent, and let me tell you, she's a total all-rounder. If you're looking for a character that's solid in almost every department, she's the one to pick. Her break damage is top-notch, and that's the kind of thing you want in your squad to deal with tougher enemies. Add in her amazing AoE, area of effect, damage, and she's pretty much a one-person wrecking crew. Not to mention, she boosts fire damage and defense penetration for your team, which is like having a little personal power-up station right in your pocket. Now, let's talk about Lee Bora. She might not have the flashiest abilities, but her dark damage is decent, and where she really shines is her support role. If you're up against bosses, Lee Bora's got your back with her ability to debuff both attack and movement speed. That's some serious crowd control right there. And on top of that, she has this charm ability that just boosts your damage output, making sure your team is hitting harder than ever. She's that reliable teammate you didn't know you needed. Shimizu Akari is one of those support characters who really steps it up if you're running by a light element team. She's got a well-rounded skill set, which makes her super valuable, especially when your team is built around synergy. If you've got a bunch of light element characters, Akari's gonna amplify their potential like crazy. She's the kind of character that quietly does her job in the background, but when you look at the results, you realize she was the MVP all along. Then there's Silver Main Baek Yoonho, who's a bit of a risky pick, but totally worth it if you can play around his gimmick. The lower his HP gets, the higher his damage output becomes. It's like a ticking time bomb. If you can keep him alive just long enough, he'll be doing massive damage. His bleed ability just makes it even more intense, ramping up his damage exponentially. But here's the catch, you've got to be careful with his HP. Let it drop too low, and it's game over. But when you play it right, Baek Yoonho can be an absolute monster. So yeah, while these characters might not make it to the top tier without a bit of investment, they're definitely not slouches. They've got great utility, solid damage, and if used correctly, they'll make your team that much stronger. Take the time to level them up, and you might just find they're the unsung heroes of your squad. The characters in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Alicia Blanche, Cha Hae-in, Charlotte, Asil Radiru, Gina, Han Se-mi, Harper, Maylin Fisher, Min Byung-gu, and Seo Ji-woo. Alright, let's get into it. You're probably here to find out which characters are absolutely killing it in solo leveling Arise. We've got a bunch of heavy hitters and game changers, and let me tell you, some of these characters are just next level. So buckle up, because we're diving into the top tier picks that will make your team unstoppable. First up, we have Alicia Blanche. If you're looking for the highest water DPS, damage per second in the game, look no further. This girl doesn't just deal damage, she's got a solid crowd control game with her freeze ability. Oh, and if you're worried about taking a hit, don't sweat it. Alicia has this nifty little basic skill that generates a shield, giving you some extra protection. She's basically a walking nuke wrapped in a shield. Talk about a power combo. Then there's Cha Hae-in. Let's just say she's the best damage dealer in the game right now. When she's on your team, enemies will fear her. Why? Because she's got this skill that stops enemies from healing themselves. So those tanky bosses who usually heal halfway through the fight, yeah, not anymore. With her insane damage output, she can clear stages in record time and you'll barely break a sweat. Next up, we've got Charlotte, and she is not just a pretty face. Charlotte excels at crowd control with her multiple abilities that can handle groups of enemies like no one else. She's also a burst damage specialist. You know, that moment when you hit all your enemies with everything you've got and watch them crumble. Charlotte's your girl for that. Plus, her abilities deal AoE, area of effect, damage, so she's perfect when the battlefield's looking crowded. But if you're in the mood for something a bit more tactical, let me introduce you to Isil Radiru. This character can apply break really fast with the right combo, and her damage output is excellent when you're up against solo enemies. While she's decent against mobs, she really shines when you need to take down that one big boss. On top of that, her mobility makes her an excellent pick for quickly darting in and out of battle. Now, let's talk about Gina. She's all about generating mana for those prolonged battles. And trust me, if you need that extra damage boost after a few minutes of fighting, she's your go-to. But there's a catch. She needs a top-tier fire element team to reach her full potential. Without that synergy, her DPS might feel a little lackluster. But if you've got the right team behind her, she can really light up the battlefield. If you're looking for a solid support character, Hansemi should be on your radar. Not only can she heal and recover MP, but she's got multiple abilities with airborne effects, which can really throw off enemies' timing. Plus, her buffs are perfect for keeping your team alive longer in tough fights. If you're facing a battle that's dragging on, Hansemi is the ally you want by your side. On the other hand, we have Harper, a heavy hitter with serious damage output. She's got multiple skills that apply break, which makes her super useful when you're up against some tough opponents. Not to mention, she buffs Dark Element Hunters, making her an absolute must-have if you're running that type of team. If you like to deal damage fast and break your enemy's defenses, Harper's definitely worth considering. Lastly, Min Byung-gu is a must-mention. He's the best healer in the game, hands down, but don't think he's just a medic on the team. He's a fantastic support character who can buff teammates and weaken enemies at the same time. With Min Byung-gu around, your team is going to feel like they've got a permanent shield around them. No enemy's going to stand a chance. So there you have it. These are some of the most powerful characters you can have on your team in solo leveling Arise. Whether you need raw DPS, great support, or just an all-around powerhouse, these characters bring the heat. Ready to dominate your next battle? These S-tier picks are sure to take you to the top. The characters in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Amamiya Miuri, Go Gunhee, Goto Ryuji, Isla Wright, Siorin, Tawata Kanai, Thomas Andre, and Yu Suhyun. Alright, let's dive into some of the absolute beasts of solo leveling Arise and talk about the characters that will make you wonder why you haven't been using them since day one. If you're not running these top tier picks in your team, then honestly, what are you doing with your life? Let's break it down. First up, we have Siorin. This character is like a tank and ninja combined, but instead of a katana, she's got break damage on every attack. That's right, every single one of her hits deals damage that can tear through the toughest bosses and mobs. Plus, her mobility is a thing of beauty. She can dodge and reposition in the blink of an eye, making her a total pain for enemies to keep track of. With her ability to easily handle mobs and bosses, Siorin is definitely a character you want in your squad. Next, let's talk about Amamiya Miure. If you've been sleeping on her, wake up. She's packing high damage that will make your enemies regret even showing up. But it's not just about raw damage. She's also self-sufficient, meaning she can recover her own MP, decrease cooldowns, and even increase her power gauge on her own. Basically, she's a one-woman army who doesn't need anyone's help, making her perfect for when you need to solo a dungeon or carry your team. Now, Go Gunhee is another powerhouse you shouldn't be missing out on. This guy is all about break skills. He has multiple skills that apply break. And let me tell you, those breaks are the game changer when you're facing off against tough enemies. Not only that, but Go Gunhee buffs your team's survivability and overall damage, making him a must-have for any serious team. And if you're running with a light element team, he's going to be an absolute beast. Then we have Goto Ryuji, who's the definition of beastly DPS. His damage output is monstrous, and when combined with his high critical rate, he's a force to be reckoned with. But don't just think of him as a damage dealer, he also has some insane break skills to keep enemies on their toes. Plus, he's got great MP management, meaning he won't run out of juice in the middle of a fight. If you're looking for raw damage with solid utility, Goto Ryuji is your guy. Isla Wright is another character you'll want to consider if you're looking for massive buffs and team utility. She brings a variety of buffs to the table, making sure your team is always at their peak performance. But what really makes Isla stand out is her powerful passive ability that reduces the ultimate skill cooldown of your second character. This makes her an absolute game changer when paired with dark element characters, where she shines even brighter. Tawata Kanai is the critical hit queen. This character is all about landing those devastating crits, especially when enemies are in the break state. You know, the state where they're basically begging for you to obliterate them. Yeah, Kanai's got that covered. The only downside is her MP issues. She can sometimes run out of resources if you're spamming her skills too much. But when she's in her element, those crits are enough to wipe the floor with anything that dares to stand in her way. Thomas Andre is an interesting character. He's got high damage potential with the right build, but what really makes him stand out is his versatility. He can tank, support, and deal some solid damage thanks to his shield abilities. His MP is decent, meaning you can still spam skills and keep the pressure on enemies without running into major resource problems. Whether you need him as a tank or a support character, Thomas Andre has you covered. Finally, we have Yu Soo-hyun. This character is a jack of all trades in terms of DPS, no matter the enemy's elemental weakness. She's versatile and can handle any situation, but what really makes her shine is her ability to apply defense penetration, which makes bosses way less tanky and way easier to take down. Plus, she can boost fire elemental damage using magic reactions, so if you've got a fire-based squad, she'll be an absolute powerhouse. So, there you have it. These characters are all top tier picks, and if you're not using them, you might be leaving some serious power on the table. Whether you're after insane damage, powerful buffs, or support that makes your team nearly unstoppable, these characters have got you covered. Time to level up and get some of these bad boys in your team. The video ends here. See you in another video. Don't forget to subscribe.